Tonight's lesson is on additive inverses. I'm hopeful by the end of tonight's lesson you'll be able to easily find the additive inverse of a number. First, let's talk about counting up and counting down on the number line. This is a strategy New York State gives when we're starting to learn how to add integers. It says, what's the value of the sum of the card value shown below? Sum is just the result when we add. So that tells us they want us to add these numbers. So that tells us they want us to take 5 and add a -5. Please make sure you put that -5 in parentheses. It just says that negative is attached to that 5. Put your plus sign between because we will be adding them. So what is the value of the sum of the card value shown? It says use the counting on method on the provided number line to justify your answer. I need to teach you the counting on method if you didn't learn it last year. For the counting on method, you always start at 0. If you see a 5, we learned last night to assume that means +5. And a positive tells us to move to the right. So that says start at 0 and move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the right in order to end at +5. And then we're going to add to that a -5. Well, that negative tells us the direction. A negative sign in front of a number means on the number line, move left. Just gives us a direction. So then it says start where we are now, which is at +5, move left 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And when we move 5 units back, we actually end up right back at 0. 0 is actually called our additive identity. And what that means is when you have 5 plus -5, 5 and -5 must be additive inverses. Because when you add them together, you come up with the additive identity of 0. Add 0 to any number, it won't change the value. I'd like to try this one with you. It says, what is the value of the sum of the card value shown? So again, sum just means we'll be adding. The card value shown, they show us a card value of -3. Because it's a -3, I'm going to put that negative with the 3 in parentheses. Sum means to add, so I'm going to do plus, and then I'm going to put 3. And I'm going to find out what that will be. It says use the counting on method on the provided number line to justify your answer. Counting on method, I always start at 0. If the first number is a negative, negative means move left. So from 0, I'll be moving left 3 units. 1, 2, 3 units to the left, and I end up at a -3. From that point, I know the second 3 is a positive because no sign was shown. Positive says move to the right. So now from this point, I'm going to move to the right. 1, 2, 3 units, and where do I end up? I actually end up back at 0. That says -3 and 3 are additive inverses. At this point, I'd like you to try one on your own. What is the value of the sum of the card value shown? Use the counting on method on the provided number line to justify your answer. On your homework sheet, you have a number line provided. Mine will appear in just a minute. So take a minute, pause the video, try this one out, come on back. All right, hopefully you paused the video. Hopefully you knew you were finding the sum, so you did 4 plus -4. And if we look at this number line starting at 0, you move 4 units to the right because that first number is actually a +4 if no symbol is shown. And then from there, you move 4 units back to the left. Where do we end up again? We end up at 0. 4 and -4 are therefore additive inverses. Last night we called them opposites. 4 and -4 are opposites on the number line. Opposites on the number line are additive inverses because their sum is 0. The additive inverse or opposite of 4 is negative 4 because 4 plus negative 4 is 0. Just like that, the additive inverse or opposite of negative 4 must be 4. Because when we add negative 4 plus 4, we get back to 0. Your additive inverses are the same as your opposites on your number line. They zero each other out. I'd like you to try the following. Find the additive inverse for each of the following. Find the additive inverse of negative 5. Find the additive inverse of 7. Please pause the video, try it out, come on back. All right, hopefully you paused the video. The additive inverse of negative 5 is actually a positive 5. That's because negative 5 plus 5 gets you to our additive identity of 0. The additive inverse of 7 is actually negative 7 because 7 plus negative 7 gets us to our additive inverse, gets us to our additive identity of 0. So 7 and negative 7 must be additive inverses. I'd like to try a few more examples of counting up and counting down to find the sum of some cards on a number line. I just want to show you we're not always going to zero out our values. It says find the sum, use the counting on method on the provided number line to justify your answer. So we're going to take negative 6 plus 5 plus negative 1 on our number line, and we're going to see where that gets us. Our counting on method, we always start at 0. Negative 6 means move left 6 units. So we're going to start at 0. We're going to move left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. Our second number is a positive 5. We know if no symbol appears, you assume it's a positive. Positive tells us to move right. So that says starting where we're at negative 6, we'll now move right 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the right. Where are we now? We're actually at negative 1. And now if we're now going to add a negative 1 to that, negative means move left. We'll move left 1 unit. So if now I take this and I move left 1 unit, where have I actually ended up? I've actually ended up at a negative 2. So the sum of those numbers turns out to be a negative 2. I'd like you to see if you can try this one on your own. I'd like you to find the value of the sum of the card values shown, which means I'd like you to take 6 plus negative 1. We always put the negatives in parentheses to show that that negative sign is attached to the 1, plus negative 2. And I'd like you to go ahead and find that sum using the counting on method on the number line provided. Pause the video, try it out, come on back. All right, hopefully you paused the video. For our counting on method, we always start at 0. Positive 6 means move 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right gets us to a positive 6. This negative means move to the left. How many units? Will you move 1 unit to the left? That gets us to a positive 5. This negative, again, tells me to move left, and now 2 units. So from where I'm at a positive 5, I'm going to move 1, 2 units to the left. And where do I end up? I end up right here at a positive 3. So you should have found the sum of those numbers is actually a positive 3. One more example. I'd like you to try to find, for this portion of the video, I'd like you to try to find the value of the sum of the cards shown below. Use the counting on method on the number line provided to justify your answer. Okay. Hopefully you paused the video, tried it out, and now you've come back. Negative 2 plus negative 2. This time with both numbers I happen to be moving left and then moving left some more. Counting on method, I always start at 0. Negative 2 says I move 1, 2 units left. Then where I'm at a negative 2. The next negative 2 says move 1, 2 more units left. And where have I ended up? I've ended up right here at a negative 4. So -2 plus -2 is actually a -4. Hopefully you're getting comfortable with this counting on method. We'll be practicing in class tomorrow, of course. I'd like you to try to take a look at each diagram. I want you to write an equation for each diagram. What are we adding together and what will the sum of each be? Then I want you to think about how they're different. And what about the diagrams? How are they alike? How are they different? And what about the diagrams lead to these similarities and differences? So pause the video, think about this, write up a few nice equations, and come on back. All right, hopefully you pause the video. For our first example, you'll see we started at 0. We counted 4 units to the right, so that's a +4 or just 4. From there, we added on 4 units to the left, a -4, and we came up with 0. In the second example, it's very similar, but now we don't start by moving to the right, we start moving to the left. So that means we first go -4, left 4, and we add, second time around, we're moving back to the right, we add 4 units back on, we end up again at 0. Similarities, you end up at 0 for both. In the first example, we move to the right first and then the left. Second example, we move to the left, then the right. 4 and -4 are additive inverses. Let's try a couple real-life examples to end the night. Write an equation to represent each of the following. The temperature starts at -10 degrees, then rises 10 degrees. What's the final temperature? And then a football player gained 25 yards on the first play, and on the second play he lost 25 yards. What is his net yardage after both plays? I need you to pause the video, try these out, come on back. All right, hopefully you pause the video. This one, where are we starting? We're starting left 10 units. So that means -10. Then we're going to rise a +10. We're rising a +10. What's -10 plus 10? That's actually 0 because -10 and 10 are additive inverses. In the second example, the player first gained 25 yards. That would be a positive. Then on the second play, so now we're going to add on the second play, he lost 25 yards. That means -25. +25 plus -25, those are additive inverses. They zero out. So hopefully you're more comfortable with additive inverses now, and we'll talk about it a bit more tomorrow in class. Try to have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.